The Woman King smashed box office expectations, earning nearly $20 million in its opening weekend. A local woman at the heart of it all.
The first time that I learned how to edit ever was at DeLand High School. It was Coach Lowe.
Now A'sia Horne is giving back.
She teaches us different ways how to edit. She's very respectful and she's very patient with us.
And talking about her role with me, Ginger Gadsden, on Real Talk, Real Solutions.
I just appreciate you making time for us to talk about something that is so important. And of course, the thing that we're talking about is representation and diversity in the film industry. And there's so many jobs, A'sia, that are out there, post-production, that people have no idea even exist. Can you talk a little bit about how you came to be an editor?
Sure. So for me, it started honestly before I even knew. When I was in high school, I took my first class regarding editing in high school, and it was TV production with Coach Lowe. He's actually still at DeLand High, and he taught us how to edit. The software that we used was Final Cut Pro, and we learned how to cut a music video. That's one of my memories about the class, and I edited it and didn't think about it again. But it was when I went to Florida A&M University was where I really started to tap into editing. I wanted to go to film school. I knew that as soon as I got on campus, but I also was very much so interested in broadcast journalism. That was my major. And so that was where I took advantage of learning more about the same software that I had learned when I was in high school. Wow. So for me, it started there, but then it was given more room to grow as far as my passion and desire to learn more about editing and post-production.
Sure. Okay. And so fast forward these years later, and you find yourself as an assistant editor on one of the biggest films of the year, right? Tell me how you found out that you were going to be working on that film.
I found out by Terry Shropshire. She's the editor, and she reached out to me to ask me if I would like to be a part of it. And of course, I was like, yes. It's Terry Shropshire. She is a legend when it comes to post-production, a legend when it comes to being a Black woman in post-production. So being able to work under her and to learn from her was definitely something that I wanted to make sure that I was available for. So I definitely say yes. And then also having the opportunity to work with Gina Prince Bythewood. I mean, both of them worked on Love and Basketball, which was something I watched all the time as a kid, played it over and over in my VCR. So having the opportunity to work under these two amazing, legendary Black women was amazing. And I was like, yes, please. Can I start?
Yeah. Okay. So when you are in the room and the work is being done and you see, are you aware of the magnitude and the weight this film actually has are you allowed to even enjoy it or do whatever? Are you just all business while you're in there?
You definitely have moments where you're able to enjoy it. I think once I first received the script and I was just excited and thrilled about the different emotions that I was able to pull from the script and realizing like this is going to be something big just for the culture. So being able to read that script and then now you're in the office, you're seeing the footage as it comes in. As an assistant editor, we're organizing, we're prepping everything for our editor. And then we're adding sound effects, temporary sound effects till we get to a certain point. So you're putting everything together and insisting to create this world as we're getting ready to finalize the film. So you're definitely getting those moments where you see them come in and then you're like, oh my gosh, I got a chill from this scene.
Yeah. And, the importance of, we see the women on the screen, but when you know that there are women who look like them and people who look like them behind the scenes who are making these decisions. For example, I was just watching an interview with the people behind Till, which is Emmett Till, right? Mm-hmm. And the way they talked about the mindfulness, the way they thought about the film before even shooting one single frame, right? And the way it would be put together to not show violence on Black bodies and things like that. Are you allowed to make any of those creative decisions? Like if you see something, can you say like, hey, I think this might work better because this is a better representation and more accurate?
Oh yeah. What's amazing about working with Gina Prince Bythewood and with Terry Shawshire is that they are a collaborative environment. So if you have an opinion, they want to know that.
Mm.
They want to know how you feel. Is there something that we could do more? Is there something that we should do a little less? So being able to be in an environment where your input is highly regarded was amazing, and to be able to give input on a movie like this, I'm so grateful for that opportunity.
How important is it that we have people of color and people who look like the people who are on the screen behind the scenes?
It's very important for there to be diversity in front and behind the scene. Most importantly, because in post production, we are the third rewrite, which means that we're the third time that we can go ahead and recreate this story and kind of massage it and tweak it. We can add in ADR, we can add in a little scene and use visual effects to make something pop or to just make sure that a point is driven home. So it's very important when you see something that you might not have caught on production and you're like, okay, let's make sure we add this because this will help the viewer. So being able to have a diverse party in the background is super important because you're going to get all of those perspectives for those moments.
Yeah, yeah. And what do you say to the young people who they want to be in the business, but, and it's just like, you're a broadcast journalism major and so many people want to be in front of the camera, not realizing that there are so many other things, and even I would argue to say more important things to do than in front of the camera work. What do you say to them?
I would say to them, first off, give it a try. I think a lot of times we're a little apprehensive about trying something new, trying something that we've never seen before. Give it an opportunity and also do a little bit of research. There are, like you said, there are so many jobs. You can be a post-producer. You can be a supervisor as far as post-production is concerned. You can also be over visual effects. You can be a visual effects editor. You can work as a visual effects supervisor. There are so many different categories that you can make a great living and then also be connected to something that is such a great profession and something fun. Like, can you be creating a movie and having the opportunity to be attached to it? I think it's a great opportunity. So it's just about that, and then also about us as those in leadership providing opportunities for them to be exposed to it.
Sure, because if you ever go to a movie, and I'm one of the nerds, I will sit and watch the credits roll, and you see all those jobs, even down to craft services, which is probably like the last thing. But it's like the amount of the number of names on that screen. I'm like, those are all people who touched this film and had a job in that film. That is insane to me that many people had to come together to make a 2.5 hour long production.
Mm-hmm. It's super important. Every position is important. Even if you might not feel like your position is important, it is important because everything has to move. It has to move quickly at times. And having people who are devoted and also dedicated to giving 100% is super important when you're creating something as big as a blockbuster.
Yeah, yeah, and it indeed. How did you feel when you learned that it was a blockbuster, that it was #1 the weekend it came out?
I was ecstatic. I don't even know if I was able to really rein in how much I was ecstatic about it. I came home and we did a screening for the teams in my area. So I was there, and then you read the headlines and you're like, oh my gosh, like, no, I'm actually attached to this. So I was glad because we also worked really hard on this film. So when you're able to say, hey, I put all of these hours in and people are watching it more than one time, it blows my mind. And I'm just grateful to have this opportunity.
Yeah. Talk to me a little bit about Hue Collective, because that's something that you're also doing to make sure that you give back.
Yes. So the Hue Collective is my nonprofit that I run with my sister, who's a co-founder, and she's an educator, so she understands the need for this as well. And so what we do is we work with youth of color and introduce them to post-production. One thing that I found as I moved up in my career is that people of color were not represented as often in post-production, especially with editors and assistant editors. So what I wanted to do was to make sure that kids are exposed to it, because that's the problem, is a lot of times they don't know that they can actually do it. So that's what we do with the Hue Collective. We expose them to Adobe Premiere, which is a software that is a professional software that individuals use in advertising and social promo, you name it, is being utilized. And it's also a software where they can also get certified in certain high schools. I taught a year at Hollandale Magnet High School in South Florida. And so I'm very aware of the programs that are attached to this.
Mm-hmm.
So being able to come out of high school, being certified, and having skill sets that you can have and take on to get a job is important. You don't have to go to college to work and do the things that I do. So we want to make sure that kids are exposed. And what we've done, we've been able to have camps in Alabama. We had a camp in Daytona Beach. We've moved around, being able to do things, and even being able to do one virtually during the pandemic.
Yeah. And can you please expound on this a little bit for me? Because when you say you don't have to go, not that we're not discouraging people from going to college,
no.
but sometimes it is not in some people's future financially or just for whatever reason. But there are industries and jobs that you don't have to have that 4 year. You just have to have the experience.
Yes. And so, like you said, I went to Florida A&M University, and I love my alma mater, and I'm back there right now to speak at our programs today. So college is definitely important to me, and definitely experience that I am so grateful to have. But you don't necessarily have to have a college degree in order to work in my field. The biggest thing that you need to have is, one, just the skill sets that are necessary, meaning you understand the software.
Mm-hmm.
Having certification is great, especially coming in entry level. And then being someone who's enthusiastic and really want to learn. That's really what it boils down to. So preparing yourself in a way where you don't necessarily have to have student loans, and to be able to have the same career path, I think is a great option. And that kids should also just take advantage of that as well.
Yeah. And I know I heard you say something the other day in a story we ran. It's like, you can do anything you want to do, but you have to be willing to work hard for it.
Definitely. I mean, even with my own career path, I had the opportunity to go to film school, but I decided just to move to Los Angeles. And so with that decision, that meant that I had to study in a different way. That meant studying books. That meant taking classes that were a lot cheaper as far as price point, but I was also learning the same skill sets, just in a different way.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just, you have to look at things in a different lens, so to speak, to get you to the same point. So in entertainment, we have a lot of different ways to get to the same positions. And it's definitely something that more high schools should explore to teach youth.
Yeah. Do you feel the industry, the film industry, is getting better at representation in front of and behind the camera?
It's definitely starting to get better. I can see that when I'm working on different shows. You can see more editors that are people of color, and even those who are my friends, seeing them being able to be bumped up. So it's definitely starting to improve, and there's always room for more improvement.
Absolutely. Are you working on anything that you can tell us you're doing right now?
I can't tell right now, but I am about to start something next week.
Really? Okay, just give us some clues, give us some letters, and we'll fill in the blanks.
It is a cable network, I can say that.
Oh God. Yeah, there aren't a lot of those out there. It's not helpful, but it's so exciting to see someone from Central Florida. You're out in California, living big time, but you come back home and you do this. And that boot camp I thought was so extraordinary, because those kids, even if they don't get to do what you do, you've touched them, and they will never, ever forget that.
I'm grateful just to be able to partner with people like the Boys and Girls Club who assist us. We get a grant from the Miss Foundation. Being able to have donors who donate every month, that helps out. So just being able to come back home is a blessing to me. And anytime I can help someone out, I'm definitely trying to do it.
Okay, so the name of our podcast is Real Talk, Real Solutions. What is a real solution that these young people can do right now to get a head start or to get a start on what they want to do if it's something like what you're doing?
Right now, I would say go online, go on YouTube, do a couple of tutorials, start learning DaVinci Resolve. That's a free software. Doing whatever you can do in order to get your hands on the software and the skill sets is the best thing to do at this current time. So just try, just give it a try, honestly.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. A'sia Horne, it is so nice to talk to you and to see you. And thank you for your representation. And thank you for working on this film. I loved it. It was amazing. But when I left the theater, I didn't want to fight people in a bad way, but I just wanted to do some stuff. Did you feel that when you were working on it?
You definitely feel after seeing the scenes that you can do the same thing. So I feel you. I was definitely in my edit room, edit bay, trying out different
warrior mode.
flip here.
Oh my God. Yeah, it was a fun film to watch. It was a tough film and the storyline was so beautiful and it was beautifully edited. And and people need to think of people like you when they think of how those scenes were actually put together. So thank you for what you do. Thank you for what you've done. And I know we can look forward to some of your projects working something on cable in the future. So hopefully you'll come back and talk about that.
Most definitely. Thank you guys for the opportunity to share what we do. I'm grateful.
Thank you.